Hello, it's me. Oh, that's not how you spell weird. Fucking idiot American. Hello. Hello. Wait, what? Oh. Okay. Alrighty then. Let me just put my face on. Let me put my face on. Oh. What's going on? What's up? Alright, roll on in, roll on in, roll on in. Hey. Announce your presence before the Council of Moi. And leave a like. So I know that you exist. I did start 10 minutes late. Oh well. Hope think I'm not coming. Let me see. I'll give it a sec. Actually, let me pop in the chat. What did you read this week? Hey, what's up, Marcus? How you doing? Beanie! The beanie's returned. I'm not posing this time. The beanie is real. What did you read this week? How you doing, Marcus? It's a pretty big week for comics. A lot came out this week. That was pretty cool. But since I'm trying to like get rid of comics, I didn't buy that many comics. Also, I'm going to like Katsucon and I have to like get a Spider-Man costume prepared, and I'm trying to save a little bit of money this time around. A little bit of money. Because cosplay items are expensive. I'm not sure if I showed you guys like the concept sketch that I came up with for my my Spider-Man costume, or it's really a Ben Reilly costume. But I finally completed my Ghost in the Shell collection by buying volume 1.5. Oh, sweet! Let me see. Oh, nice! That's what's up. Is this the in-between stories? Show us. I mean, I wish I could. I don't know which sketchbook it's in. It might be one that I like have at work. I'll definitely post it on like in like the YouTube community tabs when I find it. But yeah, I'm basically just like fusing Scarlet Spider and the Ben Reilly Spider-Man proper costume together. In a weird way, I don't know. In execution, it kind of looks a little bit like the homemade Homecoming Spider-Man suit, just a little bit, but I don't know. I'll see how it comes together when I actually start like making it. I was gonna try to go for like puff paint and all that, but I don't think I want that much texture in it. But we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. It's the in-between stories. Okay, cool. Those are fun. I think do I have my Ghost in the Shell books? I don't think I unpacked them yet. Actually, I don't know where they would be. Shit. That's a good question. Where are my Ghost in the Shell books? That's a frustrating mystery to unravel. Oh well, I'll find them at some point. But the Ghost in the Shell like manga, I remember when I first read it, I was like, oh, this is very much not the movie that I watched. Ghost in the Shell is a lot like I was gonna say it's a lot like Devil May Cry in that it's consistently inconsistent. Actually, no, that still tracks because Devil May Cry is also consistently inconsistent. That works. It's just consistently inconsistent in a different way. But yeah, every version of Ghost in the Shell that you watch or read is just, it is not like any other version of itself within that franchise. Like the manga has like a lot of cool ideas in its approach to the cyberpunk genre and transhumanism, but at the end of the day, it also feels like it's just an excuse for porn, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at, but it does feel like an excuse for porn at times. And then the movie is like this very self-serious, like Blade Runner-esque experience. And then you get Standalone Complex, and that's just straight up The Matrix. It's The Matrix on crack and speed, and it's just it's just a Michael Bay movie, but like in a good way. And then you get like the other, like the newer Ghost in the Shell movies, or not movies, the newer Ghost in the Shell TV shows, which I haven't really seen. A lot of Ghost in the Shell purists say it's bad, but like, I don't know, whatever. How can you be a purist to something that's like, again, consistently inconsistent? For instance, I'm reading From Hell by Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell. Palestine by Joe Sacco. Ode to Kirito by Osamu Tezuka. I need that dark, politically charged real life shit, at least in terms of comics. I feel that. I was on that boat for a while a few years ago that I just I hopped off. For my major, I had to I had to like take a bunch of 20th century history courses because I majored in philosophy. So like I got to a point where I was like, you know what, plug me back into the Matrix. I think I need the Matrix again. But no, dude, I do have to read From Hell at some point. It's like a big ass tome, but I definitely want to check it out. Actually, have you ever checked out what's the name of that book? Sarah. It's by Garth Ennis and Steve Epting. If you're into like history, specifically like history surrounding World War II and the early Soviet Union, I think you'd really enjoy Sarah, or Sada, however the Russian pronunciation of it is. I'm an ignorant American. Pardon me. But that's a really good book. Garth Ennis also came out with another one that was about the I don't know, it's some fucking war. Garth Ennis is a warhead. But no, he came up with a new book. I'm excited to check that out. I saw it at my local comic shop, and I just didn't pick it up because I'm doing this right now. But yeah, definitely check out Sarah if you get a chance. That's really good. It's one of the early TKO books, which I guess they're still publishing stuff. I don't really see them a lot in conversation. They were like really big in like 2021 and 2022, and then they just, I don't know, they dropped off the face of the earth, I guess. Hope they're still doing stuff. I don't know. I read Superman number 10. It was okay as usual. Madeline, Moon Knight, and the whole Wild West Metropolis didn't amount to anything. I didn't read it. Joshua Williamson he's got a lot of fun candy with Superman, but it's not really scratching the Superman itch that I really want. Personally. What's good, Jake? How you doing? Just finished reading issue 144 of Invincible. What are your thoughts about that book? Let's see. The book as a whole, I think, is a really frustrated love letter to the medium of comics. It's a wonderful hero's journey experience. I do think the last, is it issue 144? I think the last issue, it did feel a little rushed to me when I first read it. But then, I started thinking about it more, and then I liked that about it. I like how the book sort of ends on this note of, well, this is the highlight reel. This is the story. The main story is over because we've essentially seen Mark undergo his hero's journey. We watched him have that coming of age story. We watched the boy grow into a man. So now this is just what the rest of his life is gonna look like. And it's paying off that speech that Omni-Man gave him in the third or fourth arc of the book, where he's like, what will you have after 500 years? I dug it. I really started to dig it. Although that was a couple years ago. I haven't gone back and reread the entire series as one big thing, because I followed it in real time. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that in the near future. I just have to work up the cashola to get all of those. I want to get the compendiums, which they're basically omnibuy, but they're not omnibuy. I don't really like omnibuy. I don't like hardcovers. They feel weird to me. Maybe it's because I read all my books when I'm on the bus and the train, so I just like to have something digestible with me. And hardcovers, they weigh a metric brick. But yeah, Invincible's a book that I'm gonna have to check out in one sitting once again. Hello, Tevya. How you doing? Osamu Tezuka is best known for the creator of Astro Boy. He did some dark ass angry stuff in the 70s and 80s. Dude, Astro Boy's fucking dark and angry. I actually have the first I can show you over here. I have the first omnibus of Astro Boy right here. This is really fun. Although darker than I would expect it to be. I think the second arc... Oh, first of all, okay. Not even getting into the second arc. The first arc of Astro Boy, basically, fucking... What was his dad's name? Jesus. But his father, alright, so dude dies as a kid. I get the impression he's supposed to be 16 or 17, but kid dies in a car crash. And Tobio. And Tobio's father tries to resurrect him using robotics, and he just like builds a replica of his son because there's nothing really left after the crash. But after he builds his own replica version of his dead son, he's like happy for a little bit until he realizes that his son isn't growing. His son isn't actually growing, and then he just flips out because he comes to the realization that his son is dead, and that he just built like a life-size model toy, and then he sells Astro Boy to the circus. Like, no, this book is dark. This book is painfully dark. And that's like the origin. And then like the second arc is a bunch of dogs. They're getting their brains cut out and put into robot bodies and acting as kamikaze pilots. Osamu Tezuka, bro, what was Homeboy cooking? My man's was on some other shit. Some really good shit, but he was on some other shit. Did the movie Butcher Astro Boy? Kind of, but like it's one of those. Astro Boy is one of those things like Superman, where like at this point there have been so many like adaptations and interpretations, to where if it's not like the original, then like it doesn't really. It's not a mockery if you don't like follow the original slavishly. You can kind of just pick and choose whatever adaptation you want to build on. But yeah, I thought the movie was fine for what it was. It definitely wasn't the original manga though. Let's see. I read Amazing Spider-Man and it was boring. Dude, you keep saying you hate Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know why you keep bothering with it. Just we have Ultimate Spider-Man now. We just give up on Amazing. Embrace Ultimate. That's all there is. That's all that needs to exist. Saw the anime Gurren Lagann. It was an awesome mecha movie. Gurren Lagann. I know that name. Okay, I know this one. I've never actually seen it. The animation always looked amazing. I see that on a lot of lists as a recommendation for people who like Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I am one of those people. So I'm definitely gonna give that a shot at some point. Superman was amazing. The Joshua Williamson Cowboy special. I flipped through it. It's one of those things where I think the art in that book is definitely more engaging than the actual storytelling. But I can tell that like Joshua Williamson is just having fun with that book, which is, that's sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes all you need in a comic is just to have fun. You don't need to like be Alan Moore or Grant Morrison. Sometimes just have fun. Supreme says, as for movies, I watched E.T. for the first time. Oh, okay. It's interesting. Unlike the other Lucas Spielberg blockbusters, it never has a sequel, a spin-off, or expanded into a multimedia franchise. That's not true. It had a video game. There's a 4D ride experience at Universal Studios, I think. At least I remember there being one. Well, I don't know. I haven't been to the Universal Studios since I was like... Actually, hold on a second. No, I did go to Universal Studios in LA like 2 or 3 years ago. but we didn't go to like on like the ET ride. But the LA one just kind of sucks. It's LA Universal Studios is nowhere near as fun as the Universal Studios in Florida. If you ever get a chance, if you're in America, that is. I also hear that like Universal Studios Japan's like amazing. I want to go there at some point. Action Comics is awesome. Yeah, I heard a lot of really good things about the Jason Aaron Bizarro story. I want to give that a shot at some point too. I just sort of prioritized these 3 bad boys this week. I picked up Avengers Twilight by Daniel Kuna and Chip Zdarsky. Part of me wanted to get the other cover, but I don't know, something just felt right about this one. Also, by the way, this is like by far my pick of the week. This is my favorite book that came out this week. Well, of the books that I read. I know Hellblazer came out, but I didn't finish the Suspiria run, or the original Suspiria run from a couple years ago, because it got canceled. So I don't know. I figured it was just going to be building off of the material that I just didn't read. So I skipped it. But after I get that trade, I'll definitely give this first issue a shot again. But of what I read, Avengers Twilight is by far like my favorite of the week. I mean it is exactly what you think it is. This is Avengers Dark Knight Returns. So like every dark feature Elseworld story that Marvel's been doing since the 90s. Which is it's cool to get another one. I'm not one of those people where it's like, I've seen this before, it's so lame. No, I'm like, I've seen this before. Let's do it again. That's why I like origin stories and superhero movies. I can watch the origin story of Spider-Man like 800 times. I don't mind it. It's a good story. It's timeless. It's classic. It works. But I feel like there's a weird bit of continuity in this book where, okay, so you have Luke Cage, who is the former mayor of New York City, and that's like a status quo that is contemporary, but it also establishes that the Wasp and Iron Man had a child, which is also building off of a lot of stuff that Dan Slott was doing with Iron Man. So I don't know, this book is just kind of like going in like a weird sort of like nebulous future of the Marvel Universe kind of direction, like a lot of these dark future stories go. But I thought the art was amazing by Daniel Acuna. Like, just this looks really cool. Hold on a second. Like, this is beautiful. Got like Iron Man's like floating head in a jar, and he's in the raft because all the Avengers are like latent criminals or whatever. Oh, I also love this bit here. It's like it's straight up Dark Knight Returns. But there's a bit where Captain America is like having a heart attack in an alley, because Steve got the super soldier serum drained from his blood, so now he's just like a regular old man. And in the future, the police are all they're these like jackbooted Iron Man armor wearing thugs who just beat the shit out of people for no reason. And there's a really cool bit where these kids are like they're skateboarding, and the Iron cops are gonna beat the shit out of these kids, and then Steve just says, well, the one of the cops is like, "Sir, you best be moving along. It's curfew." And Steve takes off his glasses and says, "No, son, you'd best be moving along." Like, it's simple, like, comic book schlocky goodness, but it was just so good. You get like old man Steve just beating the shit out of these cops. It's like Daniel Acuna's just pacing is wonderful with these panel layouts. It feels very Blade Runner. It feels very kinetic. It feels very neon. Like I can taste the future with this, and the future sucks. We also have James, who is the Wasp and Iron Man's son. Straight up just looks like a Cyberpunk 2077 character. I don't know, this book is just really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I also didn't realize how much I missed seeing Daniel Lacuna on a Marvel book. I think the last time he did anything at Marvel was when he worked on Mark Waid's Avengers. That was like forever ago. So yeah, Avengers Twilight, definitely my pick of the week. Check it out if you like cyberpunk stories, or if you like the Marvel Universe, or if you don't like the Marvel Universe and you just like fun comic book storytelling. I don't know. That's my take. It's not a big take. It's not a earth-shattering take, but it's my take. It's an honest take. I like it. Comic book fun. You should read it. So he says, why is it frustrating? Because I think Invincible doing a parody of One More Day was amazing and badass and proves Marvel was wrong. When they did the whole like reboot arc, yeah. It was definitely poking fun at One More Day, but I do like how there were dire consequences when Mark came back. I don't want to spoil too much for anyone who's like not reading the book. They're like just following the show, but I think the arc was called Reboot. That was a really good arc. And it followed into like another really cool status quo for the character. Again, it's one of those things where I think the biggest strength of Invincible is that it is the ultimate superhero love letter, in that it is taking Silver Age superhero concepts and just approaching them with real world consequences. Like, yeah, in superhero stories, the like supervillains clone the heroes all the time, but what does that actually do to the hero's relationship to the public? What does that do to the superheroes' interpersonal relationships? Especially when like it's handled on like such a grand scale, like it is so oftentimes in Silver Age comics. Invincible's just really good. We're not gonna get another Invincible for a long time. Similar to Alita Battle Angel. Oh, what? Astro Boy? A little bit. Alright, I'd much rather Alita Battle Angel is similar to Astro Boy. What is up, John Ty? How you doing, buddy? I thought Astro Boy was going to be fun, not miserable. It's fun. The Japanese just have a very different definition of fun. But it's definitely fun. I like it. It has a really dark premise, but it's still fun. I don't know. I don't know. Don't let some of the concepts are very hardcore, but it's still a very fun series. Supreme says also on film and comics, it's interesting the two mediums that became prominent in the 20th century both had censorship boards. With the Hays Code and the Comics Code, the U.S. loved to censor their popular art. Well, the thing is, if my child reads a comic book where the superhero has blood on their face, they're gonna turn into a gay communist, and I can't have that. There was a bit that one of my friends in college, she's Russian, but she was like, Americans are like the most intellectually immature people I've ever met. And she's not wrong. She's definitely not wrong. There's a lot of cultural shit baked into that. I can go on tangents about that for hours, because a lot of it's like baked into the core of our like culture, and how our country was sort of like founded, and how we have like a social currency based on pretense and the veneer of nobility and purity, but a lot of that sort of degenerates into like the most parodic version of itself after a couple generations, and you end up where we are today. But let's see. John Ty says Superman by Williamson is overrated. I'm not reading it actively. I think the art's really cool. I'll say that. Toby says I only bother with it mostly because I'm curious to see how the train wreck is going. Dude, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. That's how you end up like me, where I read 10 years worth of Dan Slott Spider-Man and I just hated all. Well, not all of it. Some of it was really good, but like I hated like a solid 80% of it. Spring says, among fiction genres, it seems like horror seems to acquire a taste for most people, especially horror movies and even horror comics. I wonder why. Suspense. It's the death drive. You know, we love. I don't know. We're a very bored people. We used to be hunters and gatherers. We used to venture into the fields and kill woolly mammoths and eat them. Now we work 9 to 5s. We need that extra adrenaline rush. We need the threat of death looming over us, even if it's just a simulation. Horror scratches that itch. Justice. Hey, what's up, Justice Eagle? How's Avengers Twilight? Do you like it? I really enjoyed it. Again, it's one of those things where like I've seen this before, but I think it's really good. I like Chip Zdarsky's take on what we've seen before. Can I also just say this Captain America costume is awesome. It gives me like heavy Ultimates Captain America vibes. Probably because he doesn't have like the wings on his ears. Because Ultimate Captain America didn't have wings on his ears either. But yeah, this book's awesome. I also thought that there's a whole bit where there's a docuseries about the Red Skull and how he was secretly the hero the entire time. And that just triggers Steve to the point where he's like, fuck this. He just freaks out on like national television. That's hilarious. No, I really enjoy Avengers Twilight. It was really good. Let's see. Supreme says, what I meant to say is that it's odd and unique that unlike Indiana Jones or Star Wars, E.T. remained a standalone narrative. It's interesting it never had sequels in spite of its success. It's interesting it never had sequels in spite of its success yet. It's coming. It's coming. I bet you it's coming. I don't want it to come, but it's coming. Toby says, question, do you think the Authority movie is going to succeed or fail? That depends entirely on the director that they get for the movie. I think The Authority is one of those weird things where it works so perfectly within the Wildstorm universe. Um, the Wildstorm universe being more or less another sort of like 90s attempt at reinventing the Marvel Universe wheel. Like, I mean, look at, like, a lot of it starts off as just, how do we out Marvel Marvel? And from that, we sort of see, like, a rapid degeneration of that concept. And then Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch sort of come in and they say, okay, what if we, like, what if we just turned them into, like, a rated R Justice League, though? We took, like, all the cool characters that actually matter. Well, actually, first of all, what if we wipe the slate clean with all of the previous players? Like, we get rid of Henry Bendix, we get rid of, like, 90% of the Wildstorm and Stormwatch cast, and we have them all get, like, brutally murdered by xenomorphs in an Alien crossover. And then we have, like, all the cool characters, like Jenny Sparks, Midnighter and Apollo, Jack Henshaw, I think his name is, can't remember his name, but he's, like, the nervous system, he's, like, the king of all the nervous systems in the city and all that. What if you have all the cool characters, they band together, they have, like, a rated R Justice League, and they just kill people. And they go to, like, other countries, and they... and they, like, depose dictators. And they fight gods. What if we just did that? What if we took this concept to, like, the nth degree? So, taking that concept and then putting it in the DC universe, I mean, we'll see how it works. I don't know if it's gonna work. I mean, I'm inherently just, like, opposed to the very idea of the Authority existing in the DC universe. Like, I don't like that idea at all. But we'll see how it works, I guess. We'll see. I don't know. Because what do you do when you have the Authority, who's basically just a rated R Justice League, occupying the same space as the Justice League? Seems a bit redundant, isn't it? I don't know. I'm opposed to it, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. No. Shit. Okay, let's there we go. Spoilers to you. Any opinion on Cobra Commander? You know, I should ask the guy's name at my comic book store now, but, like, he was going off on it. He told me, like, a big spoiler about it, which ties into the Transformers book currently. I mean, it sounds cool. I just, like, wasn't a big G.I. Joe kid. And, like, all the G.I. Joe stuff, I think, would resonate with me more if I was a G.I. Joe kid, but I just wasn't. But I thought Duke was fine. Didn't blow my mind, but I thought it was fine. But apparently the new Cobra book ties into the Transformers in a pretty pivotal way, so I guess I don't have a choice but to read Cobra because I love Transformers. Toby says, which Mark Waid's Avengers wasn't great. I thought it was fine. It just wasn't Avengers, I guess. Which is, I don't know, I'm not too upset about, because I'm starting to realize I don't actually like the Avengers. Like, I like the Avengers in concept, but when I actually sit down and read the Avengers, I'm like, oh shit, I don't care. Otaku says, true, there are consequences. I really like that with Tara Marks. The daughter was sad but hopeful. Yeah, no, Invincible's really well written. Justice says, is Captain America in Twilight Avengers similar to Dark Knight Returns? Yes, he's very much like Bruce Wayne in Dark Knight Returns. Like he's very much fighting like an inner demon, because Captain America and Batman are strangely similar characters in that these are two men who cannot live without fighting. And in the case of Captain America, there's actually a really good line that I always kind of go back to from Age of Ultron, where Ultron points out that Steve Rogers is a man who, what was it? It was like he fights for peace, knowing that he'll only be fulfilled by war or something. I don't remember the quote, but like it's basically like Captain America is a man who can't live without war, and that's just like all over this book, which I think is a sentiment that applies more to comic book Captain America than MCU Captain America. MCU Captain America has a lot of his edges sort of like sanded away. Like he's very much not like a soldier. Like I don't know. MCU Captain America is more like Superman than Captain America to me. But Supreme says, on superhero films, does the stakes have to be big all the time? Because my own problem with the Reeves Batman and the Nolan Batman films is kind of tired of the whole all of Gotham City is threatened plot. No, I don't think stakes have to be like world ending all the time. Something that I really appreciated about the first two MCU Spider-Man films is that they didn't hinge on like the multiverse being at stake, or this grand epic thing is going to change the fabric of reality, or every man, woman, and child on the planet Earth is in grave peril. No, like I'm not a big fan of those movies, but I think what they get right is they get the scale of Spider-Man right, in that first film is just all about a problem that is affecting Peter's backyard in Queens. The Vulture is selling really volatile weapons to like shitheads who want to like rob liquor stores, and they're blowing up banks in Queens, and they're blowing up bodegas, and they're just causing a whole bunch of ruckus, and Spider-Man's got to stop them. It's a very classic Spider-Man problem, and that's, again, I appreciate that about those films. Like Mysterio is like playing this long con, but at the end of the day, like, the world's not threatened. It's just this asshole just wants like recognition. he's gonna take Tony Stark's technology and like trick people into thinking that he's a superhero, and Spider-Man has to stop him because he knows the truth. I like those stakes, and I wish we could go back to that with a lot of superhero films. Like I think one of the big things that you see with superhero films is that there is this need, I think, within the internal logic of how do I put this? I think on a certain level, a lot of superhero films think that they have to justify a cinematic experience, so they go to these like very epic, world-shattering Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments, the day the Earth stood still, type of places with the stakes, and I don't think you need that. In fact, a lot of the best superhero stories are just like these interpersonal stories about, like, oh no, someone's targeting my family. I have to protect my loved ones. Or oh no, I'm experiencing the trolley problem, where my secret identity has been compromised, and I have to choose between the people I love and like 5 doctors. If we're gonna like riff off of, that one mission from Infamous. Like one of my favorite Superman stories is Superman Ending Battle. That's not a big epic everyone's gonna die kind of story. No, Manchester Black discovers, because he's working for the government, that Clark Kent is Superman. So he telepathically reaches out to like every supervillain that he can get a hold of and says, go here and go kill that dentist in Smallville, or go kill that gym coach in Smallville, or you're gonna want to go find Clark Kent's high school crush, kill her and her husband. Like, just he's attacking Clark Kent, like, personally. All the while Superman is like being debated, and the concept of superheroes is being deconstructed in this like news broadcast, while Superman's just like zipping around the world trying to like save his friends and family. It's a very interpersonal story, man. I don't know. It doesn't end in like a massive, earth-shattering brawl. It ends with Superman and Manchester Black and Lois in their apartment. I don't know. Like, superhero stories don't need to go here all the time, Sometimes just focusing on the interpersonal is it's more than enough, I think. I really hope that is something that James Gunn realizes when he does his DC Universe, whatever he's gonna do. And I really hope that's something that the MCU realizes. It's actually kind of funny. YouTube reminded me that I did a podcast with Ziggy Gamma about the MCU post Thanos. And first of all, I just want to throw this out real quick. I called Kang the Conqueror. I totally did. Where Ziggy's like, well, where do you go after Thanos? And I said, Kang the Conqueror. He's like one of the 3 Avengers villains. We already did Loki. We already did Ultron. Let's do Kang. And I did bring up that it was going to be a multiverse thing. So I won a no prize. I'm patting myself on the back for that one, even though it's probably not going to go anywhere now. But that's something I called. But something that I did bring up that I still wish the MCU went in this direction is you follow up Avengers Endgame with Ultimatum. Like, you wipe the slate clean and you just you push the universe in a completely different direction. Like, okay, congratulations, the superheroes, they fought Space Hitler and his army and they won. Congratulations. Now here's a massive flood. And it's gonna kill like 800 people. And most of them are gonna be the Avengers. Good luck with that. I think that would be interesting. And that would have been like epic in like a kind of interpersonal sort of disaster type scale. I don't know. I think you could have done something with Ultimatum, but whatever. I don't know. I just think you can. I just want to see Ultimatum done on screen. That's all. Because I'm a crazy person. But yeah, I don't think you need to have like world-ending, earth-shattering plots for superhero films. In fact, I think that's what's sort of making them all feel sort of kind of blah and passé nowadays. Who says, especially with Omni-Man's redemption arc, he was really awesome because holy shit, I didn't see that coming. If you did read it the first time, yeah, no, it's Omni-Man's a really interesting character in the Invincible comic series. Yeah, Kirkman does a lot of really good character building with a lot of those characters. That's a sentence I said out loud. Question. Potential answer. Any opinion on Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman going public domain? Well, at least the original versions of them, because for me, I don't know how to feel because it technically the original versions don't have the Bat family or Superman family or Wonder Woman family. I think that's potentially going to be a shot of B12 in the ass crack of these characters. I think this is what needs to happen with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Because you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna push Marvel and DC. But like in this case, particularly DC. It's gonna push them to like do more with those characters. They're going to actually have competition with the fandom. Like, okay, you can't do like a Superman versus Darkseid story, but you can do a Superman fights the seven princes of hell kind of story, like Golden Age Superman versus like Dante's Inferno with Golden Age Superman. Okay, yeah, you can do that. You're gonna get a lot of really weird, interesting stuff coming out of like the public domain era of those DC characters. Like John Wick Batman. Like imagine like John Wick Batman fighting like actual vampires. You know, BDSM style Wonder Woman the movie. Like we're gonna get a lot of really interesting stuff. And it's funny, I'm seeing all these people kind of clamor on like Twitter, like these characters are gonna get broken by the blah blah blah. It's like, bro, going public domain is not going to like destroy Superman any more than the character's already been destroyed by DC Comics. Like, I'm sorry, I sat through like 10 plus years of DC chasing the injustice train with Superman. Putting that character in public domain is not going to be any worse than like the decade-long evil Superman trend that we got. You know, putting Batman in public domain is, oh no, there's gonna be a public domain Batman movie where Batman kills people. Like every Batman movie ever, except for the Batman and Robin by Joel Schumacher. Like. Oh no, someone's gonna do a Wonder Woman thing. As if DC's doing anything with Wonder Woman at all. Like, I think going public domains, if anything, is going to be... It's going to be a good thing. It will definitely be a good thing. I 100% believe that. I stand by that. I think the first... I think the first thing that we see with a public domain Superman is just going to be like a straight up... it's going to be like a gritty like crime thing with Superman. It's going to be a very noir, which is going to be interesting. I'm fascinated to see where these characters go in public domain. 1610 says 9 to 5 jobs with a side of escorts. Context? I mean, I kind of don't want context. Like, I'm kind of just happy living in that status quo, but context? So he says, I'm happy Ultimate Spider-Man is a massive success and does best ASM in sales because that'll be amazing. No pun intended. But I do think it is sort of beating Ultimate Spider. I think it's beating Amazing Spider-Man in sales. At least the first issue is. But again, it's... You have to consider. First issue. It's like a high prestige value number 1. Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto, the top of their careers, working on a Spider-Man book. Just in general. That's gonna do big numbers. This is in Jonathan Hickman's new established Ultimate Universe. That's, you know, it's gonna be pretty big. But then on top of that, you have like the speculation engine. You have like people scalping the book so they can like resell it later. Like issue 1's gonna do great regardless. The real measure of success is issues 2 and 3. If by issues 2 and 3 the book is still doing these types of numbers, then it will have been a success. So wait until issues 2 and 3 come out. Like support the subsequent issues the same way you supported issue 1. Then we'll see how successful this book actually is. 1610 Man says Christopher Nolan's Captain America, Saving Private Ryan, but from Bucky's perspective. Wait, that actually sounds pretty cool. I want that. That sounds dope. Michael Bay's Authority. What if the Justice League and Avengers actually saving the world? You know what? In a weird way, we already sort of got an Authority movie. It's called Zack Snyder's Justice League. like in a weird way, Zack Snyder's Justice League is just the Authority. But we'll we'll see what the we'll see what James Gunn's Justice League looks like. Connecting Wildstorm to the DC universe is a bad idea in my opinion. Yeah, mine too. I think that universe just works so well on its own. I'm shocked the Alien crossover was canon to Wildstorm. Dude, that's how you get the Authority. Like, the Xenomorphs just, they kill, like, half of the Stormwatch characters, and then I think from that, like, cataclysm, that's when Stormwatch gets shut down and they're defunded, and then they're working out of the United Nations in, like, a little basement somewhere, because no one can afford to, like, keep them running. So then that's when the Authority step in and fill that void that Stormwatch had. Like, no, it's it's crazy how, like, it is we're never gonna get those comics back in print, which is a goddamn shame because they were amazing. But yeah, Supreme says people complain about the negative influence that Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns had on comics, but what about the positive influences? Did Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen have any good influences on the medium? Absolutely. First of all, I think despite the fact that Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, I think, get maybe a little too much credit, and how they revolutionized comic book storytelling and made comics adult, as if 2000 AD wasn't already doing that, as if Martial Law wasn't already a book that came out, which The Boys is like a blatant ripoff of. We're gonna be like 100% honest here. As if, we weren't getting really mature storytelling in the pages of Avengers and Spider-Man and just like your average like Batman issues and like Superman issues throughout like the 70s and 80s. Like, I don't know, just I do think Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns get a little too much credit, but they did popularize the notion of superheroes not necessarily having to cave to the demands of the Comics Code Authority and like being stuck within a rigid PG rating. I do think they popularized the idea that you can do more with superheroes outside of being like PG, fun, inoffensive fanfare. I also do think that if you don't have Dark Knight Returns, for example, you don't get the stream of social political satire in superhero comics that we got from then on. Not to say that there wasn't that already. Like, I mean, you look at Jack Kirby's Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Like, half of that book is just Jack Kirby pointing the finger at how corporate news media is a sham and how you can't trust anything that comes from like your television set. But Dark Knight Returns did it in like such a way where it was like it was more in your face. It was like very raunchy, very unapologetic. It was very loud. So I definitely think like Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, they gave way to a style of storytelling in superhero comics that wasn't as prevalent before they made it big. Justice Eagle says, have you watched Echo? No, I'm not really all that. Whatever. I'm not a big MCU guy. I'm not a big comic book movie guy anymore. I used to be like I used to watch these things like religiously, but I just don't anymore. Rob Liefeld's Extreme Universe should be a cinematic universe on Tubi and Sci-Fi Channel. I would unironically watch Zack Snyder's Youngbloods only on Netflix. I'd watch that. Shit. Somebody get Zack Snyder on the phone. I'd watch it. He says, any opinion on the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated movie? Because I saw that movie and honestly, in my opinion, it was mediocre at best. I mean, I haven't seen it. I don't really care to see it. I just don't know why we're like connecting Crisis on Infinite Earths to like a shared universe of animated film. Like, who wants that? The appeal of the original DC animated films was that it was just straight up adapting cool comic book arcs. It wasn't tying into a grander universe. It was just, hey, do you remember that like schlocky Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness, Superman, Batman, World's Finest story where they have to fight the rest of the Justice League because President Lex Luthor is a bitch? Remember that? Let's just do that. In animation. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, they'll, you know. Hey, what if we adapted Dark Knight Returns into a 2-part animated film? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, that's what those movies are for. I don't care about seeing them like in a shared universe. Like, I don't give it whatever. Fuck these movies. Dude, just go back to just making cool animated films, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you adapting Crisis like this? Don't do that. Please just adapt, like, Dangerous Habits or something like that from Hellblazer. I know, like, 5 people would watch it, but I'd watch it. I'd watch it 5 times. I'd be the 5 people watching it. You know? Adapt, like, Alan Moore Swamp Thing or something. This is like a 30-part animated movie. Just do that. I'd watch it. I don't know. I'm not really feeling the current state of DC animation. If you can tell. I thought the Authority was in Elseworlds. No, it's gonna be like in the James Gunn's like DCU plan. So we're gonna see how that turns out. I can understand that, and honestly, the only G.I. Joe I know is Snake Eyes. Yeah, me too. I think that's the one G.I. Joe that everyone knows: Snake Eyes and Duke. 1610 says Michael Bay's G.I. Joe: The Real American Mercenaries. Didn't Michael Bay almost direct a G.I. Joe movie at one point? I feel like he was like on that short list to direct that first movie at least. What do you think about Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League? It's just why? Why? Of all the things you could have done, you chose that? Okay. Whatever. First time we're we get a AAA DC AAA DC game set in an open world Metropolis. Metropolis looks really good. Rocksteady put their heart, soul, and nutsack into that game. Looks beautiful. And you waste it on a Suicide Squad looter shooter. Good job. Good job. Supreme Omega says, on animation, do you blame Pixar and Shrek for the decline of hand-drawn 2D animation in the 2000s? And we only get CGI animation these days in movies? Blame is a very harsh term. I mean, they definitely are. They are definitely the reason that there's been a decline in hand-drawn 2D animation in the 2000s into the 2010s. But a lot of that is just, those movies were so fucking revolutionary. Like, nobody expected, like, okay, the Toy Story movies are fun and they're classic, but it's not Moses. It's not like any of the other DreamWorks movies that came out around like that time period. It's not Anastasia. It's not it's not Fantasia. Like, I don't know. So in like throughout the 90s, like CG animation is like sort of seen as, it's like, oh, that's cute, but like, kind of ugly. It's not until Shrek comes along and like The Incredibles and like Monsters Incorporated. Once you started getting movies like that, that's when everyone's like, "Oh my god, we can do that with CGI." Yes, let's just do that. And then the rest is history. But I don't say that I blame those movies for the decline in hand-drawn animation. It's just there was a shift. There was a shift in the culture. There was a shift in there was something in the water, and then everyone just sort of like they drifted towards CG animation. It happens. All walks of life. It happens. Tevye says, having Spider-Man be dead in the Avengers... Tevye, Jesus. Spoilers, man. Come on. 1610 Man says, MCU Ultron. If Ultron was high evolutionary for robots. Yeah. Although I was talking to one of my buddies at work, and he was... he's read... like... significantly more 70s era Marvel comics than I have. I remember he said that he wasn't pleased with like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because they just made the High Evolutionary like a straight up villain, which apparently he isn't. I mean, everything I've read, High Evolutionary is like a straight up like just a dick. Like he's like the root of all the problems in like a lot of the comics that I've read where he's present, but apparently he's not in a lot of that 70s Adam Warlock stuff, which is more or less just a ripoff of Jesus Christ Superstar but in space. I read some of that. Was not my thing. Didn't strike me. Didn't strike a chord with me. I much prefer the stuff from Jim Starlin, with like the Magus and all that. But yeah, I don't really see that much High Evolutionary in them. But that's also just because I don't know that much about the High Evolutionary. John Ty says, lately I can't be motivated to be updated with what's going on in the big two. It's not that the runs are bad, but the outrage and discourse of it lives rent free in my mind. It's annoying. I feel that. One of the funniest things about like all the Comicsgate and anti-Comicsgate rhetoric is that when you take a step back and you really just look at it all, a lot of these personalities don't actually seem to care about comics. Like they don't. They just care about pimping their own brand off the back of comics outrage because that's what's big right now. But I don't know. Like I said in my comics are actually pretty good right now video. Comics are actually pretty fucking good right now. Like there was a stretch from like the late 2000s up through the late 2010s where they were like not doing so hot. But if you're gonna fucking sit here and tell me like right now in 2024 that superhero comics are bad because woke or some shit, like, nigga, you high. You're delusional. And something's wrong with you. Something's just wrong with you. There are more high quality superhero comics coming out now than I think there have been in the past 20 years. There are. The only reason I'm not reading all of them right now is just because I don't have the space. But god damn it, if I did, I'd be buying Moon Knight religiously by Jed McKay. I would be buying like Action Comics and Superman. Which, by the way, I know I talked about how, like, you know, the Joshua Williamson Superman book is, like, you know, it's not quite for me, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Like, no, I'm reading it and going, like, oh, this is a fun Superman book. This is good. It's not for me, but, like, it's... When was the last time that you could say that both Action Comics and Superman were, like, objectively good? When was the last time you could really say that? It's probably, like, 2005. Like, probably. Like, when was the last time you could say that, like, both Detective Comics and Detective Comics and Batman were both really good? Like, like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of good books out right now. But yeah, don't let a lot of don't let the outrage machine get to you. If you're taking a break from superhero stuff, that's you know, everybody needs a break from cape shit every once in a while. But don't let that be the thing that deters you away from some like really good superhero stuff. Because I do think that like we're in an age of just quality saturation with superhero comics right now. I think they are really good. 1610 says, was the city and Raimiverse really at stakes besides Venom symbiotes and Ock Fusion Machine existing? I mean, there's a whole thing where, like, Green Goblin's just, like, a force of nature, and I don't know, that first Spider-Man film, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I feel like it feels more like an appropriate Superman adaptation than a Spider-Man adaptation to me. I get more Superman vibes than Spider-Man vibes from it. I don't know. Supreme Omega says, on the Avengers, I wonder if you're more a fan of solo titles because you expressed this interest in the Avengers and X-Men, but you like Daredevil and Spider-Man. There's that too. But I like the Fantastic Four. I don't know. I mean, I like Iron Man. I like Captain America. You know. Just seeing the Avengers together. I think it's just like the soap opera-esque nature of the Avengers just sort of like bores me. When I go back and read classic Avengers books. It's just like not for me. Which is weird because I love Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's just straight up a soap opera. And so is Daredevil. I don't know what it is about the Avengers that just bores me, but the Avengers just bore me. And the X-Men, so I don't have the thing with the X-Men that I have with the Avengers. The problem with the X-Men is that, and I am one of those people who is diametrically opposed to this whole argument of, well, I can't jump into superhero comics. I don't know where to start. Like, literally just pick up, just boom. Boom! Pick up comic and then read. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. You just, this is issue 23. It doesn't matter. Just pick it up and start reading. Why are there two Supermen? Shut up. Don't care. Just read and have fun with it. That's my argument when reading superhero comics. You don't have to start from the beginning to know how everything fits in line and fits into place. You just have to just pick a starting place and then start. That's all you have to do. Like, I started reading Amazing Spider-Man at, like, issue 500 something or whatever. It was the issue directly after the 9/11 issue, where like one of Peter's students goes missing, and there's like a whole thing where there's a guy in the astral plane who's selling children. But like that's where I started reading superhero comics. You don't need to. You don't need to start at the beginning with a lot of superhero comics, except for the X-Men. The X-Men are the exception to that rule. You cannot just jump into the X-Men and just have fun. Like you just can't. If you're picking up like a random issue of the X-Men, you better hope to God that you've read the first 3 million issues of Uncanny X-Men and the X-Force crossover and the Deadpool and Cable miniseries event that introduced the super sentinel titties that produced the milk of the cyber sentinels of the Milky Way galaxy. Like, that's... I'm sorry, if you didn't read all that, then you're not going to understand why Rogue is upset at Professor X for giving birth to her son in the future, who is her boyfriend, who's trans. You're not going to get it. You have to read all those previous things to understand. Like, that whole meme where you have like Charlie trying to explain American superhero comics, and you have like the Japanese Chad holding up manga going like, start at chapter 1, bro. That only applies to X-Men. In fact, it applies less to Batman, because Batman you can literally start wherever you want. It doesn't matter. It's Batman. There's like, over the past like 30 years, there've been 60 jumping on points for Batman. X-Men, shit, man. Where do you begin with the X-Men? That's just a nightmare. So, no. You can pick up superhero comics wherever you want, except for the X-Men. That's like the one superhero book that doesn't apply. And that's like my big thing with the X-Men. That's why I never got into the X-Men. I just... I can't. I fucking can't, man. That shit is impenetrable. Oh, man. I'd rather go low stakes than high stakes. Me too. I like a lot of the low stakes superhero stories. 1610 says cinematic experience equals theme park time. Basically. Yeah, the Infamous game is really good. I wish Sucker Punch did more, but I guess... I mean, they straight up said that the reason they shifted gears to Ghost of Tsushima is because they were tired of Cape shit. Which, that's fair. You know, that's totally fair. 1610 says, casual, general public audience say, but low stakes are boring, emo, and pretentious. But who says that? Like, I don't know. People love that first Spider-Man Homecoming film. People love it. I don't know. I think you can do a low-stakes superhero thing. Chronicle 2, Teenager's Revenge. There's a My Chemical Romance joke in there, but I don't know. What's the worst that I could say? Things are better if I stay. Do you think Kang the Conqueror was wasted? I mean, I never saw Ant-Man 3, Electric Beagley. I don't know. I never watched it. I don't care. I also didn't watch the Loki show, which apparently was really good. I keep getting told that it's like directly up my alley, so I'll watch it if Kang's really good in it, or just in general because it sounds pretty cool. Supreme says on Marvels, My own problem with it is MCU Kamala Khan, and my problem with MCU Kamala is the issue I have with comic Kamala recently. She doesn't feel like the street level hero of Jersey City anymore. That's a problem I have with I had that problem with the movie as well. I like that Kamala is very removed from the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. And there was a really interesting point in the movie that I wish was capitalized on, where Kamala is like terrified. Like this poor girl is traumatized by watching her hero, her idol, Captain Marvel, pragmatically watch a planet die. She's like, we can't save it. We just gotta let these people die. I feel like there should have been more of a fallout there, and there wasn't. And I don't know. But again, that's where these movies aren't made for like interesting character studies and like, you know, telling really kind of like interesting stories as much as they are just being fun disposable popcorn flicks. Like that's where there's the schism between like me and superhero films. I like comics because they go to like really uncomfortable places, like this bit in Superman Lost, which is also really good. This is by Christopher Priest and Carlos Pagulayan, where so basically there's a whole point where there's a Green Lantern from like another universe that Clark may have knocked up because they fell in love while Clark was stranded in this other dimension for like 20 years, which he didn't, by the way, but like still, Lois, that's not what Lois thinks, and Lois has like this whole breakdown where she's like, I lost my husband, you know, like okay, you experienced 20 years, but you were gone for like a couple hours for me, and then you came back and you were like completely distant, and then you had this whole other life, and you had a wife, and you're just never gonna get that in a superhero movie. Like they're not gonna go to those like uncomfortable character places with like your $200 trillion movie budget that has to like check all the check boxes and appeal to like the lowest common denominator. I mean, I say that in like a shitty way, but like, I don't know, that's what these movies are. They have to check all the boxes. They have to appeal to as many people in like the widest possible demographic possible to just break even. So you're gonna get like a lot of watered down storytelling as a result. And that's like where there's the disconnect between superhero movies and comic books come for me. But yeah, I don't know. That's like one of my big problems with the Marvels. It felt like it sacrificed storytelling for just, isn't this fun? I don't know. Wasn't my thing. Avengers big three villains: Kang, Ultron, and the Masters of Evil. Which I guess that last one is led by Loki, so by default Loki. Ultimatum is a terrible story. You can't adapt that train wreck. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Christopher Nolan can adapt it. Christopher Nolan's Ultimatum, massive disaster level terrorist attack. I mean, that's basically what the story is. Like, Magneto like switches the poles of Earth. Chaos ensues. Half the Avengers die, or Ultimates much rather die. Captain America dies twice in the Ultimate Universe. It's kind of insane. Him and Thor get like murdered, and then they get stuck in Valhalla, or not Valhalla. They get stuck in Hell, and they have to fight Hell, and then they win, and then they come back, but then Galactus shows up, and then Captain America's just missing. And they just never follow up with that plot line. And then Thor pushes Galactus into the negative zone. So they just both die twice. That's hilarious. Heightened reality. Oh. Reality Kang. That's what you said. I thought you typed in Reality Kings for a second. Not that I know what that is, but... heightened reality Kang equals convoluted mess, and grounded reality Kang just mad scientist. Time traveling mad scientist. Or Hollywood going stupid and making a Superman horror movie. But that'd be cool though. I'd be down for that. I'd be down for a horror centric Superman movie. Public domain equals new porn superhero parodies. I mean, they're doing that already, though. Yeah, we gotta let Injustice go that now. Public domain equals time to publish my edgy fan fiction for mainstream and merchandising at local Hot Topics. True, but, again, isn't that literally just what DC's been doing with their characters for the past 15 years? So it's not all of that. You wouldn't really be seeing that big of a difference. It's just you're getting more of that, but it's not being published by DC. That's what I'm saying. Stream says on James Gunn DC plans. I'm not that excited, and the reason I'm not very excited. And the reason is that I'm very burnt out by cinematic universes. I honestly feel standalone films is the better option. Me too, man. I'm in that same boat. It goes back to something that I can't remember who brought it up. But this was brought up in I think last night's stream when I was streaming Spider-Man 2. But someone asked me. It might have been John Ty. I think it was John Ty. Why people seem to care more about self-contained DC stories than they do the main DC universe stories. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that DC built their bread and butter off of standalone prestige graphic novels. Like Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, V for Vendetta, All-Star Superman, the Earth One line, all pretty much self-contained. You look at Wonder Woman during the New 52, which I would argue was the best New 52 book, but that's largely a self-contained story. Justice by Jim Kruger and Alex Ross, that's a self-contained Justice League story. Kingdom Come, self-contained. DC built their bread and butter over the past 25-30 years off of self-contained stories. Prestige self-contained stories. So I don't know why they're not trying to follow that direction with their movies. Joker did it, made $1 billion. It's the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Why not follow that trajectory? Why not follow that film's example? Why not just say, fuck it, we're gonna put out a Green Lantern movie, and it's just gonna be Green Lantern Earth 1. Boom. Here you go. Man of Steel, every time I go back to that movie, it's really good. A large reason why I like it so much is that it doesn't need anything else. It stands on its own very well. And honestly, the way it ends, you could have nothing else after that, and it's still a solid-ass Superman movie. That's... I don't know why DC didn't just make self-contained superhero films in the vein of their original graphic novels. But you got to chase that Marvel. You got to chase that Marvel, baby. Chase that Marvel. John Ty says, wouldn't it be sad that the only time we get Clark Kent Superman reporter stories is when Superman goes public domain? That'd be fucking hilarious. But that's probably what we're gonna get. Tevye says, well, Mickey Mouse went public domain and is doing stupid, terrible horror movies that nobody wants, myself included. I also think the public domain horror gimmick is going to die off by the time DC characters go public domain. Like, I think people are just going to get tired of it, and we're going to see something different by the time the next decade rolls around. Justice Eagle says, do you think James Gunn can save the DCU? I think James Gunn will make the DC films that people wanted 10 years ago. Whether or not that will work out now, we'll see. But, that's all I can say. He will make the DC films that people were asking for when Man of Steel came out. And that's all I got. 1610 says, my public domain Batman, emo kid in cosplay. Well, we already got that. It's called Matt Reeves' Batman. What are your thoughts on oh shit. Crap. Oh crap. There we go. Okay. What are your thoughts on Creature Commandos of James Gunn? I mean, I'm excited to see that, because I think James Gunn excels with the D-list characters, and I don't know shit about the Creature Commandos outside of the fact that they existed. I actually saw that book at another comic shop, and I was like super tempted to get it, but I just didn't. Maybe next time. Which martial law is a parody of Judge Dredd, which wasn't great? Wait, are you saying Judge Dredd wasn't great? Or are you saying martial law wasn't great? Because I disagree in both instances. I disagree, sir. I disagree. 1610 says, my public domain Superman. New 52, Snyder's plans, and Injustice combined as epic trilogy with the beginning, middle, and end. So you start with the t-shirt and jeans, and then Superman dies, and then public domain Batman knocks up Lois, and then I guess just the devil, because you can't use Darkseid, so just the devil corrupts Superman, and then it ends with time travel, I guess. I don't know. Write it. Write it and publish it before 2034, I think is the deadline. Do it. I believe in you. Tevye says, my public domain Superman, rebirth Superman with his son Jonathan Kent. Nope. You can't use John Kent because that is not a public domain character. You can't use John yet. You gotta wait another 80 years. 1610 says, my public domain Flash. What if a junkie from small town Alabama got superpowers, bro? Didn't Mark Miller write that? It's called MPH. Actually, yeah, if the Flash goes public domain, it's not going to be Barry Allen. It's going to be Jay Garrick, which you could also do a lot of cool stuff with. I'd be down to see some Jay Garrick Flash stuff. Actually, that's crazy. I'm trying to think. I wonder if the Justice Society would go public domain, like if the actual like Justice Society domain, because I know the Justice League wouldn't be public domain, because the League shows up in like the early '60s. So yeah, if there was a team, it would be the Justice Society, but I don't know how you, yeah. There's a lot of shit surrounding that, but I think the individual like team members would go public domain like shortly after Superman. Like, you know, there's Starman, there's Wonder Woman, there's like Johnny Thunder, Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I think would also be public domain. Jay Garrick, Batman, obviously. But I wonder if you'd be able to like actually put them on the Justice Society. I wonder. I don't know. 1610 says a public domain Venom, hentai monster from space. That's just Venom. Public domain Punisher, cop by day, vigilante by night. I feel like I've heard that before. I don't know where, but I feel like I've heard that before. But public domain Superman is just more Golden Age type Superman stories, which I'd be down with. I really hope that happens. I think that'd be dope. Supreme says, on 2000s films, it's interesting what we were more willing to adapt. I'm gonna read that again. On 2000s films, it's interesting that we were more willing to adapt comics that weren't big two superhero stuff. Just look at the history of violence in Sin City. I wonder why it stopped. Because the Avengers made $1 billion at the box office and everyone had to adapt big name superhero stories. Gone are the days of Dylan Dog and that terrible Valerian movie. That just... Dude, I was so down for a Valerian movie, but just... That is not what I wanted from a Valerian movie. Like... I don't know, Kara caterpillar eyebrow face with look, she's pretty, but like she's not. That is not Laura Lane. You don't cast her as Laura Lane. I feel like you would cast like I can't remember her name, but the chick from Blue is the Warmest Color, and Kojima's Walking Simulator, Death Stranding. Like, I feel like you cast her as Laura Lane, and you cast someone like Andrew Garfield as Valerian or something like that. Like Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne. Like, what are you doing, man? Who's in that casting office? Like, why? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that aside, yeah, no, the 2000s was like a Wild West period where we were just adapting anything that was like comics. Like, you got The Losers, in the 2000s. We also got like Road to Perdition, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I'm trying to think what else was like a comic that got like, V for Vendetta, Watchmen. I mean, Watchmen's naturally, that's like one of the biggest comics out there, but like still just Like Dylan Dog. I think I brought up Dylan Dog already, but like Dylan Dog. Who the fuck knows anything about Dylan Dog? We got Hellblazer, kind of. It's like, you know, their own weird take on Hellblazer, where he's an American and he's kind of Keanu Reeves, but, you know, still Hellblazer. Like, I don't know. The 2000s went kind of hard with their adaptations. Just in like terms of like how ballsy they were going for like the obscure picks. You don't really see that too often nowadays. 1610 says, my public domain Spider-Man kick-ass with spider powers. I don't think you need that to be public domain. I would just like to see Marvel just do that. I just want Spider-Man Max. Marvel, please publish Spider-Man Max. That'd be awesome. I wish we got an Arkham Justice League game, because that would have been awesome. Dude, seriously, like, you built an open world Metropolis. You have Brainiac as your main antagonist. Why not just make a fucking Justice League game? Wow. What a fumble. What an absolute fumble. Jesus Christ, you fucked up so hard. Come on, Rocksteady, you had one job. Alright, good night, Tevya. When Toy Story came out, my boomer grandparents thought it was revolutionary as fuck. The High Evolutionary is a furry lover. That's accurate. I have to actually. I'm gonna actually text that to my buddy at work, and he's going to say how much he hates that. That's fucking hilarious. I'm doing that right now, actually. That's brilliant. Evolutionary, the furry lover. Okay. We'll see how that works. Steve Englehart equals ex-nom vet who loved dropping acid. I mean, I bet a lot of those dudes were, in like the Marvel bullpen in like the 70s and 80s. Supreme Omega says, on team books, you seem to prefer DC teams like the Titans and JLA over the Avengers. I wonder why. I think some of it just comes down to the fact that I am more a DC guy in general than I am a Marvel guy. It's probably just it. Justice Eagle says, what are your thoughts about the current state of the MCU? Wasted potential. I think there's a lot of cool shit out there that you could possibly do with the MCU that just isn't being done with the MCU. So I don't care. But I also realize that, like, I don't know, a lot of these movies aren't made for me. Like, I'm not the target demographic for those films. And that's fine. That's fine. I know who they're made for, and that's cool. 1610 says, I love cape shit, especially when it's stereotypical and easy to follow. That's fair, yeah. MCU after Endgame, rushed out content by Disney. Yes. The Avengers, the Avengers are lame compared to the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Casual, I don't know where to start answer. Just pick up and go. Yes. Casual redesigns versus tactical redesigns versus spandex redesigns. Honestly, I'll take a casual redesign over a tactical or a spandex redesign any day. I think a lot of casual redesigns of superhero costumes look really fucking cool. Like Superman with like the t-shirt and jeans, awesome. The Burnside Batgirl costume, awesome. Uh, um, there was a Batman book that came out a couple years ago. Where Batman's just wearing like a leather jacket and like a Batman mask with goggles. Awesome. Like I don't know. Spider-Man. The shittier the costume looks, the better. So that's technically a casual redesign. So yeah, the casual redesigns just look awesome. I prefer casual redesigns to tactical redesigns. And sometimes I think the spandex redesigns get a little too busy. Less is more. Just throw that out there. Yeah, the X-Men is a mess. Every writer equals soft reboots for new jumping on points. Unless you're writing the X-Men. The shows are more straightforward for the X-Men. Yeah, I mean the 90s animated series is like pretty straightforward, I guess. Alright. So I'm actually gonna dip because it is getting a little late and I do have to get to work. I have to open this door in the morning. So, I will see y'all tomorrow. I might stream Spider-Man again. Or maybe I might take a break for a little bit and then stream later. I don't know. But, if you had something you really wanted me to, like, answer, like you had, like, a burning question in your loins, drop it in the comment section. I'll get back to you. Or I might even make it a whole video topic at some point in the near future. But, thanks for stopping by. Always love doing this with you guys on a Wednesday. And, I will catch you in the next one. Peace. Wait, hold on, let me do that again. Peace. Wait. Should I do like a kawaii to sue? I don't know. That's fuck it. Bye.